So today I thought I'd talk about probably one of the hottest topic on the YouTube scene right now, which is to do with Voyager and Voyager filing for bankruptcy, and also the YouTube drama that this has caused on the YouTube space. So yeah, we'll talk about Voyager in just one second, but from the YouTube drama point of view, obviously, you guys that watch the videos all the time will know that I've been very open about that I haven't been happy with the YouTube space for the last kind of 1 year, 2 years. I think in the last 1 year, 2 year, it's just come a little bit more of a toxic YouTube space. I feel like it's come more of a hype, pump and dump space, and really milking the money from the YouTube space. And I feel like since the CV situation, that has brought a lot of people onto the YouTube scene and changed what it was, where I thought prior to the CV situation, the YouTube space for stocks was a good place, you know, a good place where people went, this is the stock that I'm buying, this is my research, this is why. And now it just seems a lot more hype, clickbaity, more for the views, and it has really been in decline. And so we'll mention about that in a second. Now, just on Voyager. So Voyager kind of caused all this situation. Voyager filed for bankruptcy recently. And personally for me, Voyager has been a stock that I've not really been interested in. First reason why is because it's to do with crypto. And if any of you guys watch the channel all the time, you'll know, if people have asked me about crypto before, you'll know that I'm not really a big fan of it. I think that crypto might have a space or place in the future, and it might be needed for some certain things, but I don't believe in all the crypto coins that are currently out there. I don't believe crypto will reach what people think it will potentially get to and look at potentially replacing some of the main currencies. I don't think that's going to happen with crypto. And that's personally why I haven't really touched it. I think the hype that follows it isn't going to translate into the results. And for me, that's why I've always really stayed away from it. And Voyager itself, the reason why I stayed away from Voyager is I didn't really do too much research into the company, so I can't really tell you this is the reason why it went bankrupt, apart from obviously it was quite badly managed. They were probably losing a ton of money and they didn't have a healthy balance sheet. The reason why I never really got that much further into researching Voyager is because first of all I went, well, what do they do? They sell crypto. Well, I'm not a big fan of crypto in the future. And also, what is the moat to this platform? Well, there's buy and sell crypto. What stops anyone else from getting into this space? Hardly any barriers really. You know, there's Coinbase in here, FTX in here. There's a lot of people in here. It's not really a big moat company here. And that's actually quite funny because when you look at Coinbase was another stock that was actually quite hyped up a few months ago with the IPO, and then we've seen how that's ended up for Coinbase as well. So yeah, that's why I didn't really get into Voyager. Didn't really like the moat of the business, and I didn't like the space that it was in. So that's personally for me why I avoided it. Now, unfortunately, that's translated into this kind of YouTube drama because one of, if not the biggest, I would say definitely in the top 3 YouTubers on this space, which is Financial Education. Financial Education was one of the big backers behind this, especially on the YouTube space, and I think he had over 100,000 in this investment, which obviously is probably going to go down to 0. And as well as that, I think he did something which, once again, I think this is where the space has gone quite negative. I think that he actually brought a video out about a year ago saying that he believes that Voyager has the potential to 5x in a year, and it was like, now you can believe a stock potentially in the long term, you know, a long-term investor, 5-10 years, could 5x. That's totally reasonable, especially if it's a little bit more of a growth stock. But to be coming out with them sort of claims is just absolutely ridiculous. And I think this is why this stock has really damaged his reputation, and he's also getting a bit of heat for the situation, making claims like that. And I think generally that's what, unfortunately, is part of the YouTube scene that has declined. You know, the kind of giants on the YouTube scene. You know, for me personally, I've always tried to just stick to the point where I make videos. I kind of say this is the reason why I'm buying it. This is why I think it'll work out. And I just try to be transparent with what I'm buying and selling. But I feel like, especially the people that are at the top of the YouTube scene right now, they've really turned this space into a bit more of a clickbaity area and a bit more of a hype area. And unfortunately, I think Financial Education is in that space. I think that Voyager is an example where, especially in these last 12 months, his picks have come a lot more hypey. You know, there's not really a fundamental base around why he's investing in them, and that's really hurt his reputation at the moment. So from that point of view, I think that's where Financial Education has gone wrong in this kind of space and why he's potentially getting a lot of heat. Now, I'm going to say this about financial education as well, is that you've also got to remember that he is getting a lot of negativity at the moment, but you've also got to remember previous to like probably 2021, maybe 2022, financial education was actually a pretty decent YouTube channel. Like, I've followed that YouTube channel since he's been around, since like 2017, 2018, and he has made, you know, good picks and good investments, and people have got to, you know, not forget that. I remember like Upwork, Elf, Revolve, Qualcomm, I believe, Skyworks, I believe. There's been a, you know, Tesla, obviously. There's been quite a few win results. There's been quite a few, you know, good picks from financial education. However, the picks have declined into more hyper picks, but you've also got to look at someone's track record, not just from the last year, and go, you know, come on, sort it out. And also the big thing is, like, we're judging a lot of these picks over like the last 12 months, which is also important not to do. No, it's not fair to judge someone over the next 12 months, but obviously you would suggest that some of these picks aren't going to do that well, but you've got to look at the longer term, and it's like, yeah, it's been a bit of a decline of the investment and the picks. However, you've also got to look at that track record, and you've also got to look at this. This is what I'm not a big fan of, and I believe that a lot of toxic channels have done this, is that they've jumped on, okay, we're currently in a bear market, so in a bear market, obviously there's going to be stocks down. Like, I get this myself. Like, I'll get people that come criticize a stock that I've picked. Like InMode's an example. Like, InMode's getting criticism right now. I get comments like oh, it's a terrible pick, and it's like, okay, for the last 2 years I've been in InMode when it was up 400%. There was no criticism of that stock and that stock pick. And now that we're in a bear market, now it gets the criticism. Like, it's so easy to kind of go on that day, what is that stock price doing? How about we judge that business of like financially, look at what it was doing previous to a bear market, and why don't we judge it over the longer term? Let's say that when we're out of a a bear market, we're into a bit more of a bullish market again, where is that stock going to be? That's probably the better time frame to be judging that investment off. Not, okay, what is it on that day and we're in a bear market? Okay, that's a bad stock pick. And that's what I think that we're kind of in. I see that myself as a YouTube content creator, is people jumping on going, that's a terrible stock just because it's down on this day because we're in a bear market. It's stupid. And that's what also is a bit of the toxic side of YouTube that is or where we're at right now. And the other key thing is to remember is that individual picks will go wrong. Like, if you are an individual stock picker, you are going to get picks wrong. Granted, you don't want to get too many wrong, but if you're picking like 30 stocks, there's a good chance you do get, 3, 4, maybe 5 of them wrong. But as long as you get the 25 right, you're way going to outperform them bad picks. And you've got to be aware of that. Without doubt, I'm personally going to pick, like, say 30 stocks. I'll probably get 4 or 5 of them wrong. You can go through a period where you do absolutely amazing, you don't get any of them wrong, and you're absolutely firing on all cylinders. But there'll be times where you do get, as an individual stock picker, you're going to take that risk. You're going to take that risk where you will get some investments wrong. The key is that you have a lot more of the stocks that you do pick, outperform them, and that's the little risk that you do have with an individual stock picker, which I feel like people are forgetting that is going to happen. Now, with financial education, obviously, going back to the point is that obviously he's picked Voyager and it's gone wrong, and I think generally he has kind of declined his picks recently to a lot more hype ones that aren't going to do that well, and I don't think he's picking as good as what he was prior to the CV situation, but I still think he had some good good investments prior to that. It's led to a lot of what I would call toxic channels come up, and one of the toxic channels, in my opinion, is Everything Money. They put a video out yesterday really going for financial education, calling him a scammer and everything like that, which I thought was a very strong to be doing that. Don't get me wrong, I agree that his picks have been a little bit more hypey and a bit pump and dumpy than what they've previously been, like very good food company and everything like that. But for Everything Money to come out in that sort of situation, you have to be really careful, and this is what I'm not a big fan of, like these toxic channels coming out and doing this, because someone like Everything Money, when you go and judge, for you to come out and call someone a scammer, you've got to remember financial education, even if you don't agree with him, even if you don't like his picks, he has come out and said, these are the picks that I'm going to go for, and you can see how they play out. He has publicly shown that this is what he's going to do, and he's open for criticism, which takes a lot. It takes a lot for you to come on the YouTube space and go, this is my investments, these are the stocks that I'm going to pick, and let's see how they perform. It takes a bit of, balls to do it, you know, because when you get a bear market like this, everyone comes gunning for you, and people forget what you've done, you know, prior to a bear market. I get it myself, you know. I get people in the YouTube comments going, oh, this is down, this is down, this is down. Hold on, you know, let's look at the track record, and you look at what happened previously and, you know, success you have. It all goes out the window, and there is going to be that criticism online. And I think for someone like Everything Money to come on and criticize someone like financial education is quite harsh, because when you look at someone like an Everything Money, you know, when you look at their track record, openly they've admitted they've not beaten the stock market in the last few years, which when you look at the stock market, you've had fantastic years. Someone like Everything Money, that is a channel which doesn't really openly say, they come on and criticize other YouTube channels and say, oh, they're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, why they're recommending that. And then they are not publicly showing how their portfolio is doing. They're not showing, okay, these are the stocks that we think are going to be good buying opportunities. You know, it's all hidden. And the only one stock that I've ever seen Everything Money come out and openly say, this is the stock that we like and we're buying, is Alibaba. Now, they started recommending Alibaba at $200. What's happened since they recommended Alibaba at $200 with their amazing calculator that shows when to buy stocks at really good valuations? Well, Alibaba went from $200 down to $80 and down at over 50% on that position. And that's a bear market. You can't judge investments on a bear market. That's a prime example. That's a prime example of value investors also getting it wrong, because we're in a bear market. That's why you can't judge off when you're currently in a bear market. So this is what I'm not a big fan of. I'm not really a big fan of, like I said, I think you got two sides of, I always try to be in the middle here, but I'm not a big fan of the two sides here, where you got one side over here that's been very hype-ish, pumping things up, getting a bit carried away with investments, and then you've got the other total opposite, where you've got like a channel that's built up on being negative to other YouTube channels when we're in a bear market. You know, you're forgetting, you know, the success of past investments, and then you hide all your investments yourself, so no one can even judge your own investments. And then the one investment you do, you're down 50% on, which is just absolutely stupid. And this is why I'm not a big fan of the YouTube space, because I feel like half of it's gone extreme pumpy. I think half of it's gone really toxic, and it's just not a good space right now. And I think, you know, I mean, what can you do? I ain't got a solution to it, but I think this is just where we're at right now, and I think it's something that does need to get improved in the YouTube space, really. And obviously there's like other channels like Strongman Personal Finance that's really boomed up in this bear market, because he's another, I'd say probably toxic channel, but with someone like that, I actually understand, like, he's actually tried to call out the scammers, the pumper dumpers out here, which did need calling out. You know, that side does need pulling back. And to be fair to him, he also publicly, unlike Everything Money, he publicly goes, buy VT, buy VT, buy VT. Now, obviously, with VT, you know, it's done okay. It's not done absolutely amazing. You know, it's not beating the S&P, it's not beating the Nasdaq. You know, and some individual stock pickers will have outperformed VT and done very well, and you've got to give credit to them. And you can't go in a situation in a bear market and go, I told all you individual stock pickers, you're terrible, you don't know what you're doing when you're in the bear market, because you can easily wait 12 months and we'll be in a bull market and let's see where we're at. And I would guarantee that the good individual stock pickers would have outperformed that and would have got the return. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation that we're in right now. Like I said, I just think the YouTube scene has just changed really from this kind of good space to where we have one extreme of, you know, getting a bit carried away, hyping things up, and then we've also got this jump on this toxic side at the moment. And especially I think calling people scammers when, you know, you yourself are, you know, underperforming the market, recommending stocks that are down 50% yourself. And then I don't agree with people charging whatever it is, $300 for a course, but I don't agree with people charging, you know, calling someone a scammer, then themselves saying, oh, but come buy our platform that we're promoting every video, and it's, you know, $30 a month, and it's just to calculate a DCF calculator that you can make in Excel, and making it sound like you're there to help everyone. Like, you know, you got to be a little bit honest there. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation that we're in right now, and I just don't like where we're at, and my thoughts on Voyager really. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video anyway, and if you could hit like button, if you do subscribe, that'd be absolutely amazing, and I'll see you in the next video.